Here at the 2020 Arnold Classic, alongside Chris Aceto and Milos Sarcev, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. The Arnold Classic just letting out, and for the second time in 3 years, William Bonin, the Conqueror, conquers here in Columbus. Chris, we'll go to you first. Your assessment of William Bonin taking a second crown in 3 years.
He won it in prejudging. The show was a wrap for him. He had too much of a lead in prejudging. William was tighter than Dexter and Ramy, obviously, in prejudging, and he's got thick muscle for his frame, and he's got density, and he's got clean lines and conditioning, especially from the back shots, the back double, and the most muscular. Just he's got the right tie-ins, and I just think he was too. He was, I'd have to see the score sheets, but my guess is that he was ahead in prejudging, and that's really what put him ahead. He was better than the other two guys who got second and third, Dexter and Ramy, in prejudging.
Milos, it seemed as if Steve Weinberger gave everyone a shot in the middle, so we got all three different looks. Ramy in the middle, Bonin in the middle, even Dexter in the middle, which obviously had the crowd roaring that maybe this is a chance at number 30. How did you score it? William Bonin, in your mind, was he the clear winner tonight?
Yeah, but let me tell you this, because backstage after the show, Dexter was furious because of his positioning. He thought that he probably didn't make a top three. And I said, Dexter, don't be fooled. They just position you that way. Really, I mean that was something. But I agree with Chris. Bonin won this morning, and I'm a big fan of Dexter. I love his shape. So when we talk about bodybuilding purists, what do we look at aesthetics and shape? And Dexter wins it, right? But then quality and muscle density, that just thickly muscled in a great condition that William had, I would give him that I had. Now, Dexter, I would put second. And Ramy, I mean, when you see that frame, and I was just looking at it right now after they announced the winners, and Dexter was standing next to a big Ramy. Ramy looks twice as wide, twice as big. So if he had a Ronnie Coleman back in the day winning, and also Jay Cutler winning over Dexter, who was similar shape all throughout the years, but bigger man wins, sure. Right? On that note, I think Ramy could have been considered to be pushed, even on the second place, but his conditioning was just not there. I mean, I don't want to criticize too much. I love Ramy. He's a wonderful person, great champion, huge, has that structure, but he was still a little bit too heavy. For me, he should have, come completely dried out and super lean.
Chris, you made the point in our prejudging wrap-up about the biggest, freakiest guy and what you wanted to see out of Big Ramy here in the night show. What did you see in the finals? And in your opinion, was it considerably different in the prejudging and maybe push him up a couple of notches?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he risked slipping to fourth in prejudging. As much mass, yes, he's 3 times bigger than Dexter, or Bonin. I mean, he's wide, he's thick, he's crazy, but his condition in prejudging, just as Bonin solidified it in prejudging, Ramy's condition was just too off in prejudging. He came back better tonight with better condition, better color. I think fought for it more, was more aggressive, but it's sometimes these shows are just of course they're about big freaky muscle, but you have to be in conditioning,
right?
And it wasn't there in prejudging. It was better tonight, but it just wasn't there. And he got exposed to some degree with Dexter's condition, with Bonin's condition. If Bonin was in good condition and Dexter was off and Ramy was off, then you'd say, okay, Dexter's off and Ramy's off, but Ramy's bigger, and you put him in second. But that's not how prejudging was.
Milos, I want to go to you because the talk of this show coming in was Big Ramy. Obviously, he'd been away from the stage for a year. He dealt with injuries. So there was a fascination as far as what Big Ramy was going to bring, and then obviously revealing a couple of days ago, that he's working with Chad Nichols. So the expectation was that we were going to see something perhaps that we hadn't seen before. In general, what look do you need to see out of Big Ramy in order for him to take that next step in his overall progression?
As you know, I did an interview with Dave Forex Muscle 5 days ago about that subject. And I said exactly the same thing that we've been talking about all the time. Rami has all the sizes in the world, all the width, and has that aesthetics. He had that V-taper with a flat, deep abs, so it's wonderful, right? And legs that you can just dream of. But that conditioning. So we all know, everybody knows, conditioning should be number one, and then everything else. And in classic physique, they did that. Steve, who was phenomenal, but he was out of not conditioned, they put him third, and rightfully so. So I would always, put conditioning on the first place, then shape, right? And shape-wise, I think that Dexter is my favorite. That he has that beautiful V-taper and round muscle bellies, just aesthetically pleasing look. And then balance, upper body, lower body. So this is what I was talking about earlier at Olympia, that maybe Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry, didn't have that balance between upper body and lower body. Now, Rami has balance, has a freaky legs, and has a freaky upper body to go along with it. His posing was not very well. I'm sure that you guys know this last spread from behind. I don't know what he was doing, so he didn't spread out. It was not polished, and I think that also cost him. But should bigger, better man beat a smaller man? Probably. Always since Arnold and Colombo, it was always that bigger man wins.
And I wanted to go to that next because for the first time they had the award for most muscular named after Franco Colombo, and you could tell the emotion that was coursing through Arnold when he was talking about obviously losing his friend. But then it was interesting because Big Ramy was awarded that award, and you could tell it was an emotional moment for him as well. He talked about how that time away from the stage, he realized how much the camaraderie he had with his fellow competitors was on that stage. Talk to us about what you took as a bodybuilding lifer from that moment.
At the end of the day, all the competitors, they may talk smack and be highly competitive. Everyone gets along. Everyone loves Ramy, and everyone likes. People get along at this level, this high level of competition. Everyone wants to win. It was just a great moment because Arnold, obviously, like you said, was his friend and training partner 50 years. He had lost him. And, here comes Ramy winning the most muscular award named after Franco.
Right.
And Ramy, already said, I miss bodybuilding so much. I miss the friendship and the camaraderie.
I wanted to get a thought on from you as well, just on that moment, just on seeing the emotion from Arnold when he was talking about the Franco Colombo Award.
You can say one word. Pain, and second, love. This is always, you can see, there was never staged. Arnold and Franco and Arnold. This has been for 50 years now, right? So all of us are very especially connected to both of them. Losing Franco was horrible, and that was a special moment. I salute Arnold for doing this, and I'm sure that Big Ramy is going to cherish this victory and the first ever Franco Award.
It was funny because then the other special award went to Sergio Oliva Jr., the Ed Corney Award for Best Poser. Now, we had him on RX Muscle a couple of weeks ago, and he laughed when Dave asked him about the prospects of him winning that award. He laughed and said, it's going to be the easiest $10,000 that I ever win. Chris, talk to us about, obviously, the presentation that Sergio put on, but then eventually finishing fifth. Fair placing?
I think when I had him fourth. Steve Kukla looked tremendous.
Yeah.
And it's improved a lot. And what happened, I thought Sergio would beat him in prejudging, but they never compared him. They didn't compare him at all. It was the four, who was 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Sergio tonight they put right next to Steve, and I thought beat him on most shots.
I wanted to get a thought on you as well on that, because when we talk about Sergio Oliva, and I remember the point that Dave Palumbo made during the 2017 New York Pro and Sergio won, or was it 2016? 17. And during prejudging, I remember his exact words that Sergio Oliva Jr. brings this excitement to the stage that bodybuilding has been sorely lacking. What were your impressions of what you saw out of Sergio Oliva from that perspective, but then also what he brought physique-wise this evening?
He brings passion in it. You can feel every pose.
Yeah.
It's not like posing. It's like expressing your feelings. I get the goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah, he told me that before. It's going to be the easiest $10,000 that he's going to make, and it was obvious. There was no contest. And I salute him for saying he wants to, raise the bar up. as a Terrence.
Yeah, you mentioned Terrence Ruffin, right?
Terrence Ruffin, yeah, who's a spectacular poser. It should be judged. No, I talk about this symmetry, muscularity, and posing around used to be judged in the 80s and 90s, and I think this is lacking. So if you're going to get the points for aesthetics in a symmetry round, you're going to make yourself more aesthetic. And then if you're going to get the points for posing round, you're going to damn sure, practice posing and bring some spectacular routine like Sergey did this time.
I know both of you have to run. You both have busy schedules, so let's get one last thought. Just to round out the top six, Sergio coming in 5th, and then Cedric McMillan in 6th place. Gentlemen, your two biggest takeaways from what we saw this evening here at the Arnold Classic.
The biggest takeaway for me was the camaraderie of the event. We take it for granted. Arnold puts on this massive show. It got canceled, right? And the hardcore people came out tonight. The camaraderie in terms of fantastic speech by Arnold about Franco, and then amazingly, Ramy gets the award, and and he has just an emotional moment with regards to how much he's missed the sport.
Right.
And then Arnold had another emotional moment when he gave the award to Sergio Oliva Jr. for Best Poser, and he said 50 years ago,
talk about his father.
I was competing, you know what I mean? And you could tell, his admiration for his father and all these things. So it just, everyone comes here to win, but it was a good weekend. We get the coronavirus, so we can't even have the trade show and stuff, but think how bad it could be or whatever.
We're going to have to bleep that out, by the way, because YouTube's been demonetizing anything with mention of that word.
We'll bleep it out. Then we had the... Anyhow, it was a good weekend. It puts a lot of things into perspective.
Milos?
Well, I would. I don't want to repeat what Chris said. Beside this too, I think last Arnold Classic for Dexter Jackson, this emotional, scene that we all see. I mean, I cried. I was trying to tape, and then I get myself
during
crying.
that standing ovation.
Yes, I mean, standing ovation, and you can see that Dexter was really touched by all that stuff. So. Is the most memorable moment for me. I'll never forget it. And then, I would say for this takeaway, I was maybe criticizing William Boniak after the Olympia, right? And I said that I would put the Hadi ahead of him, and then I said structurally he didn't have that width, and he made a believer out of me, this morning when I saw him. Like, wow, you still, can ignore this much quality, and when he hits the poses, I mean, it's something else, right? So I think that he established himself again as a front runner at the Mr. Olympia contest coming up, and I just want to congratulate him. Here he is, So I really, think that he was spectacular and that he is Olympia potential.
So that's going to do it for our coverage of the 2020 Arnold Classic, again powered by Chemical Warfare. Chemical Warfare now live in the United States. If you look at our article, the description below, RX Muscle 20 for 20% off, chemical-warfare.com. For our cameraman, Angel Cedio, for helping us out, for Chris Aceto and Milos Sarcev, I'm Steve Faruqi for rxmuscle.com.